Go Hoosiers! Okay, preparation. So what you should do to prepare to move to a different state that you've never been before is you have to make sure that you're in a good mindset. And I know I wasn't at all. I was crying every single day leading up to it because I was genuinely so scared and fearful, but it's just genuinely so rewarding just experiencing a big change. But yeah, be in a good mindset and have really supporting people, and you also want to be financially prepared. I know for me, what had happened was it was my senior year of college, and I knew that I could have my internship home state, Indiana, or and maybe save money, or just do it like move to Texas, because the way I saw it was either it's now or I'm never gonna move. And I could say, oh, I'll have my internship here in Indiana and I will eventually find a job in Texas, but I just felt like there was this part of me that was telling me it's not gonna happen if you don't do it now. It's either now or fucking never. Like, that's what was going on in my mind. So I was like, so no, it's gonna be. And so what I started doing was, I remember it wasn't even my senior year. I was kind of always told people like here and there, like, oh yeah, like I want to move to Texas and blah blah. Like around the beginning of my senior year, people were asking me like, oh, what do you want to do after college and this and this, and I was just like, oh, I want to move possibly to Texas, but I didn't know how it was gonna happen. I didn't know exactly every single detail, but I just knew it was going to happen. And I would just tell people that, kind of like manifesting it. But the thing with manifesting is that you also have to apply the work. You have to tell yourself you're gonna do something, but also do the work, take action. And so the action that I took was apply for an RA position at my university, and I knew that would save me a lot of money, and it did. And that was one job I had senior year, and I had that. And also around the fall semester of my senior year, I started to work. I applied at Target, and it was around the holidays, so you know, Target hired me from years of rejection, and I got the job. And also I worked at a senior care living center, and I was an assistant, or like I helped out with activities. So senior year me was a full-time student, 3 jobs, and I was in Greek life, multicultural sorority, not the Pan-Hellenic one. And so you already know how Greek life goes. That's a lot of work. And on top being first gen in my senior year, it was definitely a lot, but I still managed to pull through. And I remember towards the fall semester, I was working a lot. I was working so much and getting that bread, getting that money, because I was just like, at that time I didn't know exactly how things were going to work out, but I just knew I had to be financially stable for the future. And yeah, I had to prepare myself. And I really could wholeheartedly tell you that I didn't even know if I was gonna move to Texas. I would tell people, like close friends, like, yeah, I want to do that, but I didn't exactly know the details. But I was like, I'm preparing myself for what might happen and I just told myself, worst case scenario, I don't move to Texas, but I'm financially secure, and you know, I'll figure it out. But I rather have that than the opportunity comes and I'm not prepared for it, because you have to prepare for opportunities or plan for success, or whatever people say. But yeah, so holidays, I definitely did not spend with my family. I was working all 3 holidays in Bloomington, and I was genuinely so sad. And I'm glad I had good friends around there. Like one of my best friends, she made me a whole plate for Thanksgiving. Rosa, I love you. And I just genuinely had such amazing friends that helped me along the way. And I don't want to cry, but people were so supportive and just at times helped me when I doubted myself. And that's why I say to have a really good support system that want to see you do it. And even though I wasn't able to spend the holidays with my family, I had a good friend that I spent like some holidays with, and I was also working, and you know, like it was okay. And even if I would have spent the holidays alone, it would have been fine. Like I knew that sometimes you have to work for things, and there's some certain things you have to let go of. And I was able to FaceTime my family And yeah, and mind you, none of my family members knew about this, like not even my mom. And spring comes around, so January 2020, no, January 2022, new year, yay. I was crying every single day. Crying and puking every single day because I was so anxious. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna graduate soon, I don't know what's gonna happen. And I cry and puke every single day. I remember walking around campus and my best friend Vanessa, she would literally see me have a meltdown walking to class because we had classes together, and I would just be crying and she would just be like, it's okay, like, you know, just comforting me. But yeah, and I would just manage to push through, still working 3 jobs. Then I did the work. I started obviously months before. I was looking at internships, and I was in contact with my internship or like my professor, and like letting him know like, oh yeah, I want to do this and blah blah. And I like reached out to agencies of where I want to do my internship. And I happened to get in contact with one, and it worked out really well, and I got the internship there. And then I did the paperwork for my university, and everything was all set up in agreement. And I remember I was very anxious, fearful, doubtful, depressed, burnt out. Then what else? Yeah, all of those things. I was feeling like all those emotions, and I still managed to like go through all of that, even being on 0%. I was experiencing all of those emotions, and then I still, even through experiencing all of those emotions, I still did what I needed to do, like take the action, which I generally don't know how I did that, but yeah. Um, and I remember that at one point I had to really, during this whole time I like was journaling every single day, like crying every, not every day, but like most of the days, and just going through a lot. And not really a lot of people, like my friends were there, and I remember one of my best friends, Macarena, she helped me look for places to live and stuff like that. And it was very comforting having really good friends around me that were so supporting. And I remember how influential my best friend Macarena was during that time, because there was a point where I genuinely didn't know if I could do it. Like I really doubted myself even though I was doing the work. And she just like would tell me like, Jenny, you're gonna do this and blah blah and all these things. And I was just like, oh my god, bro, like I don't know, blah blah, like crying. But she believed in me in times that I didn't. Like there would be times where I genuinely didn't believe in myself. And yeah, I was experiencing a lot of emotions that were both like a lot of sadness, being overburned, anxiety, all these things that you don't know, like you genuinely, which was completely irrational at that time. Like a big change was happening. I was finishing college, being first gen, all these things. And I remember being very anxious about things not working out, but still doing the work, still taking action. And I just felt like something was gonna go wrong, the ball was gonna drop. And I was very an anxious individual and overthought a lot of things. And because of this big change in my life, I really was forced to change myself and be a different version, or become a different version. And I realized I had to change because at one point I was crying and puking because I didn't know that like certain things weren't gonna be completed in time, like maybe certain forms for my internship. And I was like, am I gonna find a place to live in the summer? What if this happens? What if blah blah, this and this and this? And I was just anxious. And when I realized that I needed to change, when everything was signed, everything was set, like I found a place to live for the summer, I found a sublease, I got the internship, everything was filed, all the paperwork, I was financially stable, like really financially stable, everything was working out, I was passing my classes, all these things, not that I was failing any of them, but I was like, everything's gonna be fine. Like everything was aligned for me. But yet I genuinely was still crying and anxious and like crying and puking every day. And when I say crying and puking, I mean like the term, like not the like actual thing. Like I was genuinely so anxious every single day, and I realized that just doesn't help me at all. Like I have to change, because at that point like I'm the problem and I'm not helping myself for this change or situation. And I'm genuinely thankful for that process and that journey, because I was able to grow into a person who was able to make decisions for myself and be less doubtful. I really let go of being doubtful, of overthinking, of second guessing myself, of second guessing my worth, and I became a woman who was able to see my worth, know that I deserve good things in life, and know that the universe or God literally wants to see me reach my dreams and achieve my goals, or better, and gives me better, like really see my worth. Because at one point I realized, like, damn, like it's really not external, it's really internal. And the reason I just feel like all these like things, even though everything's set and signed, is because I genuinely don't feel like I'm worthy of these things. And because of that, I was able to really learn that like good things were able to happen for me. And yeah, it was a big mindset. Like I had to grow a lot. And I remember saying goodbye to like all my friends and everything, and I like told my family, like because the same weekend that I was graduating from college, or like walking for our ceremony, I had told my mom that Friday, Thursday, and she was freaking out. She was like, oh my god, why, like blah blah, you're moving to Texas and all these things. And I was like, yeah, but I have everything like set, like signed, and I have enough money and all these things. And she's like, have you checked your car, have you this and this and this? Like, yeah, that's all done. And I'm generally some people might not agree with this, but for me in my life, I made that decision because I knew my mom was going to be worried for me, and I didn't want to tell her all these things or this thing that was going to happen, because until I knew that I was prepared, like it was happening. And I'm glad I did, because like she was able to like see how responsible I could be as an adult. And yeah, and she obviously like came down for my ceremony and was able to say goodbye to me and wish me well. And she was very proud of me, and I love her so much, and she's very supportive and has been throughout this whole process, ever since she found out. And yeah, I remember like leaving the dorm, because I was in RA, so I had to live on campus, and my best friend Macarena came with me on a car ride from Indiana to Texas, which was like 14-ish hours. We drove all the way non-stop, and saying goodbye to my close friends that were in town and just crying. And I was just so emotional, and it was completely okay. And yeah, and I was so happy that my best friend Macarena was able to come with me to Houston, Texas, like, and help me unpack to my apartment. And it was a really great experience. I genuinely had to learn to grow a lot before even moving to Texas. And that was kind of like a story about my journey with like moving and everything. And obviously everyone's story looks different, but I genuinely feel like that hopefully you all can learn from things that I did. The biggest things that I've learned was like you really have to have a mindset for yourself, like a really good mindset that you deserve these things. And yeah, like at one point the biggest thing that motivated me to move was a fear of staying in the same spot and never growing. Like I think at one point I was like, okay, you really have to think worst case scenarios, because I kept thinking so worst case scenarios. And then I was just like, okay, like what if I just played the what ifs? I was like, okay, so what if this happens, worst case scenario, then what? You're gonna be okay, like it's gonna be fucking fine. And I told myself, like, literally the worst thing you could do is knowing you have the opportunity and not take it and settle. Like the thought of settling scared the fuck out of me, and actually motivated me more to like keep going, to move forward and change, have this like big change in my life. So yeah, and honestly it's been such a rewarding experience. This is the after part. Living in Houston, I was able to really be able to the first couple weeks of being in Houston, obviously I did my internship, got a job offer, did a lot of like, it was really great. I passed my certification exam, so I'm a certified recreational therapist, and yeah, I got my degree and all those things. It was really great, but on top of that, I was able to really see different parts of myself. I was able to be with myself the first couple weeks. Like, I literally didn't have any friends, and that's completely okay. It's a whole new city, never ever been here. I was able to, like, my roommates were really amazing for my summer sublease. The sun is shining on me. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, my roommates were really amazing for my summer sublease, and they showed me around Houston. And yeah, I generally didn't really have friends, and that was fine because I was able to spend time with myself, actually date myself and go on dates, be able to spend in nights and have pizza nights with myself and movie nights. And I really was able to bond with my friends through FaceTime. I literally had a whole FaceTime date with my best friend, and we made pasta and like watched a movie and had wine. And yeah, moving to a whole different city that you don't know anybody, it makes you feel small, but it's just so rewarding too, because you're literally it's like living a different, not a different life, but not reinventing yourself, but like you really get to see like yourself in a different light. You get to I was able to date myself and just be with myself and know myself better, and it was really a good experience. And I knew that my social life was just gonna come, because I generally feel like I'm a very social person. Out of all the things that I was stressing about moving to a whole different place that I've never been to, the social aspect never stressed me out, because I was like I was very social during college and very involved, so I was just like I need to be alone. Like, I generally don't care if I'm alone, that's fine. And yeah, yeah, so definitely if you do move to a different like state, it's okay to have that time to be alone. I told myself like, I'll attract friends, or friends will come into my life at the right time, like it's fine. And yeah, it was Houston, Texas has been so amazing. I love the weather. It was warm. It was definitely hot as hell during the summer, like so hot, but yeah, it's just so great. There's always activities going on in Houston, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, like a great experience. Along the way, I realized, like, I'm not sure if people believe in signs, but I remember there'd be little things that I would see leading up to like me moving to Houston, like synchronicities. I remember there'd be times where I see like a Texas plate and I'd be like, oh my god, Texas. And I literally, I'm not lying, I will try to look for the video, but when I was graduating for my ceremony, there was this girl that was sitting in front of me, and her cap was decorated, and hers had like Indiana, like the shape of Indiana, the state, and then Texas, and it said the next step, or next chapter in my life, and it had the connecting, and I was like, oh my god, that is literally a sign. It's meant to happen for me, like it's gonna be. And just like trust those signs too. And even though for me I was definitely anxious the whole time, I'm glad I did it. I would offer for people who are contemplating, like I said, be prepared, like prepare yourself for a change, and really be able to have a good mindset and support system. Preparation is very important. Plan things out and have a plan. And some people, like, they literally just do it, pack their bags and go, and it works out for them. That's cool. But I'm a person who needed to be prepared. Like, I am a Virgo moon. I genuinely had to be prepared. Like, there had to be a plan. Like, I could have if I wanted to, but you know, like for my safety, and like I want safety and security, I genuinely wanted to have a plan, and that helped me. And other advice would be, really just do it. Like if you're contemplating, I genuinely feel that it's really good to like experience something different and leave your hometown or your state, because you'll be able to think about all the people you'll meet. And trust me, I've met really amazing people. I've gotten to have such great experiences with myself, with other people, dating. It's been such a great everything, and all the people that are just so loving and caring and that I've attracted into my world are just amazing. So yeah, think about all the people you're gonna meet, all the like experiences that you're gonna have, and it's your life and you owe it to yourself to like go for your dreams and yeah, and not settle. So goodbye, y'all.